Welcome to Two Witness Teaching Program. Two Witness, a Bible teaching program to change and transform people. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's dive into it.
In chapter 4, it speaks of offerings for sin, but here we see introduced sins of ignorance. And it talks about 4 different types of people. First, if the priest sins. Second, if the congregation sins. Third, if a ruler sins. And fourth, if a common person will sin. But these are all sins of ignorance. And let's look at the details of what this means. I think this is one of the parts of the law that is a little bit can be skewed in today's church and maybe taken out of context and used as an excuse of why we don't need to overcome sin, or why sin is something different than what the New Testament and the actually Old Testament says it is. So we want to know what Scripture says about what the sins of ignorance are and why they were explained in so much detail. So the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord, concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, if the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin which he hath sinned a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. And we see that the blood is going to be spilled. Verse 6, the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar of sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And then he's going to take the fat and deal with the kidneys and the liver, and he's going to burn it upon the altar of burnt offering. Verse 11, the skin of the bull and his flesh and his head and his legs and everything, the rest of it will be carried out of the camp to a clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn him on the wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out shall he be burnt. So the meat of the animal was burned on the brazen altar, and the rest of the animal was carried outside of the camp and burned on the ash heap. Verse 13, now we see if the congregation sins through ignorance. And if the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which should not be done, and they are guilty. So let's make sure we understand how this is getting set up. The whole nation sins, and they don't realize it. Verse 14, when the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before the Lord, and the bullock shall be killed before the Lord. So what's the key there? They were ignorant, but once they become aware of their sin, they're no longer ignorant. And a sacrifice for that sin is required. And so the priest is going to do the same thing, sprinkle the blood 7 times before the veil, put the blood upon the horns of the altar of incense, burn the fat, and verse 20, and he shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock for a sin offering, shall he do with this. And the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. So we see the mercy of God here. He calls it sin because they did something which they weren't supposed to do. But it was not until that thing was made known to them that they were made accountable. So think of our New Testament counterpart, James 4:17. If you know the right thing to do and you don't do it, to him it is sin. So we see that God is very merciful in bringing that knowledge to someone so they have opportunity to repent and make an atonement. Okay, verse 21, the bullock is carried without the camp and burned as the first bullock. It's a sin offering. Now, verse 22, when a ruler hath sinned, and he hath done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord his God, concerning things which should not be done, and is guilty. So he's guilty. His sin wherein he hath sinned come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. So before it was a bull, and now we see it's a goat. But when does he do it? Once it's come to his knowledge. And so, once again, the priest, verse 26, shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. 27, if any of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and be guilty, his sin which he has sinned when it comes to his knowledge, then shall he bring an offering. And again, it's going to be a goat. The end of verse 31, the priest shall make an atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. Verse 32 says he could also bring a lamb. So chapter 5, verse 1, if a soul sin, and he hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness, whether he hath seen it or known of it, and he does not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. So let's say I see you commit a sin, and I don't bring that to your attention. I don't bring it to the attention of people so that you're no longer ignorant. I am guilty with you. If a soul touch any unclean thing, whether it be a carcass of an unclean beast or a carcass of an unclean cattle or an unclean creeping thing, and if it be hidden from him, he also shall be unclean and guilty. Verse 3, or if he touch the uncleanness of a man, whatsoever uncleanness it be, that a man shall be defiled withal, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, then he shall be guilty. So it says he was guilty in the first place, but now the guilt is even greater, knowing he has to acknowledge his own sin and make an atonement for him. Verse 4, or if a soul swear, pronouncing with his lips to do evil or to do good, whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, he shall be guilty of one of these. So once he knows, he's guilty. It shall be when he shall be guilty in one of these things, that he shall, number 1, confess that he has sinned in that thing. And number 2, he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, for his sin which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb, or a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin. Verse 7, if he be not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring for his trespass, which he has committed, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And then we have the details of how that would be offered. Verse 10, it always ends with this, the priest shall make an atonement for him for his sin which he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Verse 13, the priest shall make an atonement for him as touching his sin that he hath sinned in one of these, and it shall be forgiven him. Verse 15, if a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance regarding the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring for his trespass unto the Lord a ram without blemish out of the flocks, with thy estimation by shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary for a trespass offering. So it's very specific here. He shall make amends for the harm that he hath done to the holy thing, and he shall add the 5th part thereto, and give it to the priest, and the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. So he has to bring an offering plus 20% of the value of it. 17, and if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he wist or knew it not, yet he is guilty, and shall bear his iniquity. And he shall bring a ram without blemish out of the flock, with thy estimation for a trespass offering. And we know from all of our previous passages, this is once it comes to his knowledge, that's when he brings the sacrifice. The priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his ignorance, wherein he erred and knew it not, and it shall be forgiven him. It's a trespass offering. He hath certainly trespassed against the Lord. Chapter 6 is a little bit more about trespassing or about sins against the Lord or other people. And we'll just start reading and we'll move through it. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, If a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord, and lie unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or hath deceived his neighbor, or hath found that which was lost, and lieth concerning it, and sweareth falsely, in any of all these that a man doeth sinning therein, then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he had deceitfully gotten, etc., etc. So we see that God is getting very specific in the laws that he's giving so that the people will be protected from any false dealings that are done against them. And so, when we talk about the 10 Commandments, we say the first 4 really show how we relate to God, and the other 6 show how we relate to our fellow man. And this is how Jesus could say, what are the 2 greatest commandments? We love God, we love our fellow man. Because if we're doing the best that we know to do toward God and our fellow man, we won't be sinning against them. So very specific laws are given to show how not to treat your neighbor. And if you're acting in love toward your neighbor, you won't be dealing deceitfully with them. But in the case that you would, it requires a trespass offering. It is a sin against the Lord. It is a sin against your neighbor. And so the laws of the trespass offering apply here. If we go to 8, verse 8, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the burnt offering. And we see more details about this. It is the burnt offering because of the burning upon the altar all night unto the morning, and the fire in the altar shall be burning in it. We see details about the ashes. Verse 12, the peace offerings. 13, the fire shall be ever burning upon the altar. It shall never go out. Now, very interestingly, in this chapter, we get down to 14. This is the law of the meat offering, or the meal offering. And details are given about how that would be offered up on the fire with the frankincense. A memorial of it, or a portion of it, is offered. And verse 16, the remainder thereof shall Aaron and his sons eat. With unleavened bread shall it be eaten in the holy place. In the court of the tabernacle of the congregation they shall eat it. So remember, the offerings were also provision for the priests and their families. Verse 17, it shall not be baked with leaven. Leaven represents sin. I have given it unto them for their portion of my offerings made by fire. It is most holy, as is the sin offering, and as the trespass offering. If you look at verse 25, talking about the offering, it says, it is most holy. Verse 29, it is most holy. So if the type and the shadow of the natural offering in the Old Testament was holy, how much more Jesus Christ was a holy sacrifice for us. Verse 19, this is a little different because when the priest made a meal offering for himself, or a meat offering, he would not take a memorial of it and burn it and eat the rest, but the priest's offering would be wholly burnt. Let's see, it just continues on with more details about the offerings, but I think what we want to understand is that the offering is holy before the Lord, and it was meant for the priest to eat. They were set aside. They were holy before the Lord. They were consecrated to do his work, and therefore could partake in the holy offering.
All right, we're on the trespass and peace offerings. And again, we start right out with, likewise, this is the law of the trespass offering. It is most holy. Verse 2 in chapter 7, in the place where they kill the burnt offering shall they kill the trespass offering. And the blood thereof shall be he sprinkle round about upon the altar. And he shall offer of it all, the fat thereof, the rump, and the fat that cover the inwards, and the rest of it. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar for an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a trespass offering. Every male among the priests shall eat thereof. It shall be eaten in the holy place. It is most holy. The sacrifice remains holy. As the sin offering is, so is the trespass offering. There is one law for them. The priest that maketh atonement therewith shall have it. All right, and the priest that offer any man's burnt offering, even the priest shall have to himself the skin of the burnt offering which he had offered. Now, with the burnt offering that was totally burnt up, no one would get that. But with these other offerings, the priest could have the skins from the offering. And all the meat offering that is baked in the oven, and all that is dressed in the frying pan and in the pan, shall be the priest that offereth it. And every meat offering mingled with oil and dry shall all the sons of Aaron have, one as much as another. And this is showing equality among the priests, that they'll all partake, and it will be equitable among them all. Verse 16 speaks of a voluntary offering. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that he offereth his sacrifice, and on the morrow also the remainder of it shall be eaten. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burnt with fire. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offering be eaten at all on the third day, it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be imputed unto him that offereth it. It shall be an abomination, and the soul that eateth of it shall bear his iniquity. Different ways to eat the offering. Some of them had to be eaten by the third day. Some of them had to be eaten that day. Some of them couldn't be eaten at all. Okay, in verse 19, and the flesh that toucheth any unclean thing shall not be eaten, it shall be burnt with fire. And as for the flesh, all that be clean shall eat thereof. But the soul that eateth of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings that pertain unto the Lord, having his uncleanness upon him, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. Let's continue on to verse 26. We've seen this warning before, I think. Moreover, ye shall eat no manner of blood, whether it be a fowl or beast, in any of your dwellings. Whatsoever soul it be that eateth any manner of blood, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. God said, don't eat of the blood. That is indicative of the life of a person who's in my hands. You will not eat the blood of an animal, or the life of souls. All right. Verse 28, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, He that offereth the sacrifice of his peace offerings unto the Lord shall bring his oblation unto the Lord of the sacrifice of his peace offerings. His own hand shall bring the offerings of the Lord made by fire, the fat with the breast. It shall he bring, that the wave may be waved for a wave offering before the Lord. And the priest shall burn the fat upon the altar, but the breast shall be Aaron's and his sons'. And the right shoulder shall ye give unto the priest for a heave offering of the sacrifice of your peace offerings. And I think we talked about this. Peace offering is basically a thanksgiving offering to the Lord. Heave offering, heave means to heap. So you're piling up your gift, you're giving it to the Lord. And what's another one we have? A wave offering is to hold up and to wave unto the Lord. So there's some meanings for those words if you are interested. All right, verse 33. He among the sons of Aaron that offereth the blood of the peace offering and the fat shall have the right shoulder for his part. Priests take part of the offering. All right, so verse 37, this is the law of the burnt offerings, of the meat offering, of the sin offering, of the trespass offering, and of the consecrations, and of the sacrifice of the peace offerings, which the Lord commanded Moses in Mount Sinai in the day that he commanded the children of Israel to offer their oblations unto the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai.
Chapter 8 is where it all starts. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garments and the anointing oil, and a bullock for the sin offering, and 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread, and gather thou all the congregation together unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So Moses did as the Lord commanded him. Verse 5, Moses said to the congregation, "This is the thing which the Lord commanded to be done." And Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. And he put upon him the coat, and girded him with the girdle, and clothed him with the robe, and put the ephod upon him, and he girded him with the curious girdle of the ephod, and bound it unto him therewith. And he put the breastplate upon him. Also he put in the breastplate the Urim and the Thummim, and he put the mitre upon his head. Also upon the mitre, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as the Lord commanded Moses. This is it. I mean, I imagine Aaron just must have butterflies in his stomach thinking, all that we've been planning for and working towards this last, boy, it was only a matter of months. Now's the time when we start it. Verse 10, Moses took the anointing oil. He anointed the tabernacle and all that was therein, and sanctified them. He sprinkled thereof upon the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all his vessels, both the laver and his foot, to sanctify them. He poured of the anointing oil upon Aaron's head. He anointed him to sanctify him. Moses brought Aaron's sons, and put coats upon them, and girded them with girdles, and put bonnets upon them, as the Lord commanded. And he brought the bullock for the sin offering. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for the sin offering. And he slew it. And Moses took the blood, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about with his finger, and purified the altar, and poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it, to make reconciliation upon it. And he took all the fat that was upon the inwards, and the caul above the liver, and the 2 kidneys and their fat, and Moses burned it upon the altar. But the bullock and his hide, his flesh and his dung, he burnt with fire without the camp, as the Lord commanded Moses. So he's doing now, for the first time, what God commanded. Verse 18, they do the same thing with a ram, and he demonstrates that. 22, he brought the other ram, a ram of consecration. Aaron and his sons lay their head on that ram. He slew it. Moses took the blood of it, and put it upon the tip of Aaron's right ear, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And then he does the same thing with Aaron's sons. More details about how he's demonstrating what should be done with the animal. 26, out of the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake, a cake of oiled bread, 1 wafer, put them on the fat and upon the right shoulder. He put all upon Aaron's hands and upon his sons' hands, and waved them for a wave offering before the Lord. So for the first time, they're all standing here with a hunk of meat, and they're waving it before the Lord. So they're walking through all the steps. 28, he took them from off their hands, and he burnt them. 29, they took the breast, and they waved it. 30, Moses took of the anointing oil and of the blood which is upon the altar, and sprinkled it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and his sons' garments. And he sanctified Aaron and his garments, and his sons' garments. 31, Moses said to Aaron and his sons, "Boil the flesh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and there eat it with the bread that is in the basket of consecrations, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. And that which remaineth of the flesh and of the bread ye shall burn with fire. And ye shall not go out of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation 7 days, until the days of your consecration be at an end. For 7 days shall he consecrate you." So this was the consecration of the priesthood. There was that sacrifice, the sanctifying of this whole list of things, and then a prescription for how they were to eat the meat and the bread, and then they had to stay there for 7 days to complete this time of their consecration. So verse 36, Aaron and his sons did all things which the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses.
Chapter 9, verse 1, And it came to pass on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. And he said unto Aaron, Take thee a young calf for a sin offering, and a ram for the burnt offering, without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. And the children of Israel thou shalt speak, saying, Take ye a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year without blemish, for a burnt offering. Also a bullock and a ram for peace offerings, to sacrifice before the Lord, and a meat offering mingled with oil. For today the Lord will appear unto you. And they brought that which Moses commanded before the tabernacle of the congregation, and all the congregation drew near and stood before the Lord. And Moses said, This is the thing which the Lord commanded that ye should do, and the glory of the Lord shall appear unto you. And Moses said unto Aaron, Go unto the altar, and offer thy sin offering, and thy burnt offering, and make an atonement for thyself and for the people, and offer the offering for the people, and make an atonement for them, as the Lord commanded. Aaron therefore went unto the altar, and slew the calf for the sin offering, which was for himself, and the sons of Aaron brought the blood unto him, and he dipped his finger in the blood, and put it upon the horns of the altar, and poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the caul above the liver of the sin offering he burnt upon the altar, as the Lord commanded Moses. And the flesh and the hide he burnt with fire without the camp. And he slew the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons presented unto him the blood, and he sprinkled round about the altar. And he presented the burnt offering unto him with the pieces thereof, and the head, and he burnt them upon the altar. And he did wash the inwards and the legs, and burnt them upon the burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the people's offering, and he took the goat, which was the sin offering for the people, and slew it, and offered it for sin as the first. And he brought the burnt offering, and offered it according to the manner. And he brought the meat offering, and took a handful thereof, and burnt it upon the altar, besides the burnt sacrifice of the morning. He slew also the bullock and the ram for a sacrifice of peace offerings, which was for the people. And Aaron's sons presented unto him the blood, which he sprinkled upon the altar round about. So here in the very beginning, they're doing one of every offering that was prescribed to kick things off. All right, verse 21, And the breast and the right shoulder Aaron waved for a wave offering before the Lord, as Moses commanded. And Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people, and blessed them, and came down from offering the sin offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offerings. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation, and came out, and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted, and fell on their faces. I guess so. I mean, God's providing the fire for the first offering. That's pretty amazing.
Chapter 10, verse 1. Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. So whether Aaron did protest or whether he thought to protest, Moses stopped him by saying, wait a minute, this is what God said would happen. So he did not allow Aaron any room to complain or to grieve. Verse 4, Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. Now think about the implications of that. If they had to touch a dead body, that made them unclean. So this becomes very serious for other people as well. And Moses said to Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar his sons, so Aaron had 4 sons, 2 are dead, 2 remain, Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die, and lest wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled. So the 2 brothers and Aaron were told not to mourn for this. They had to go on and continue and do the service of the priest. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. Now he's going to give some other instructions here before we pick back up on that story. The Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, and that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses. Now imagine a simple instruction like this, not to drink wine, or you'll die when you go into the tabernacle. Well, they just saw their brothers do something that they weren't supposed to do, and what happened? They died. I would think that that would be a pretty strong motivation to obey the Lord when you see God's judgment come like that, just as he promised it would. 12. Moses spake unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and to Ithamar his sons that were left, Take the meat offering that remaineth of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy sons' due. 14, And the wave, breast, and heave shoulder ye shall eat in a clean place. Thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due, and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings of the children of Israel. So those sacrifices provided for all the families of the Levites as well, of the priest. Verse 16, we're going to pick up on our story again here with the two sons of Aaron. Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive. Now, the meat of the goat of the sin offering was supposed to have been eaten by the priest, and instead they burned it. So Moses says to them, Wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy? And God hath given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, and to make atonement for them before the Lord. So now his other two sons have done something different than how God had prescribed it should happen. 18, Moses continues, Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. Ye should indeed have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded. And we see Aaron gives their response. Aaron said to Moses, Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. And such things have befallen me. What happened the same day? His sons were just struck down by fire. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? And when Moses heard that, he was content. So we don't get details about why they chose not to eat the meat of the sin offering, why they burned it instead. Could have been the confusion, it could have been grief, we don't know why it was, but we see that Moses was content with the answer. We see that God overlooked that and did not claim their life the way he did of their brothers, who blatantly actually blasphemed by offering up strange fire before God. So very interesting here how God overlooked something that they had done in error.
Chapter 11, we're going to start a discussion of clean and unclean animals and what the Israelites could eat. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all beasts that are on the earth. The animals to eat, in verse 3, whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and chew the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. So, basically, there's only two requirements there. It looks like three, but two of them are the same thing. A split hoof and many parted feet, which is really the same thing. And the second thing is animals that chew the cud. Those are the ones that you're going to look for that are clean to eat, that God's saying that's okay. Verse 4, Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. So it doesn't count if it has one or the other. It's got to be both. And he goes on to describe them. The coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but he doesn't have a divided hoof, he is unclean to you. And the swine, because he divideth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, so he's unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. Now, verse 9 gets into the fish and seafood. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers ye shall eat them. So, basically fish. Fish is good to eat. All that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, and all that move in the waters, and any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath not fins or scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. So you don't have to eat any of those snakehead fish. Praise the Lord. That's and a lot of the strange seafood stuff would, I think, be included in this list. And of course, we're not under any of these laws, but that's what God gave to Israel, and that those were the best foods to eat. Regular fish, I think. Verse 13. Don't eat birds of prey, and we'll have the description here. These are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten, they are an abomination. The eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, and the raven, and the owls, and hawks, and these are all the birds of prey. You're not going to eat those. And all the fowls that, verse 20, that creep upon all four shall be an abomination to you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creature, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs upon their feet to leap withal upon the earth. Even of them ye may eat. So these are the flying things you may eat. The locust and after his kind, the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. And while we were in Uganda, our waiter showed us some grasshoppers that they would eat. It's considered delicacy. When we were out to eat one time, he brought it up and showed it to you. I don't think he ate it in front of you, did he?
No, it was alive.
Okay. But I don't think that was a problem, really. Yeah. So, it's done. There's a lot of people who eat that kind of thing and like it and enjoy it. And God said it was okay for his people. 24, and for these ye shall be unclean. Whatsoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even. And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. All right, so those who eat unclean things, that's how you'll consider them. And so you understand there'd have to be made some division. If you know you're not supposed to eat those things, and your neighbor knows they're not supposed to eat those things, and you're with them, and they're eating those things, you have to make some separation there. You have to say, look, you're not supposed to eat those things. I have to withdraw myself from you because you're breaking God's laws. And so you're going to make a separation, a division, and that's what it means to mark them as unclean. You're not following God's laws, and we're not going to hang out. It's like, let's go to the bar. I'm a Christian, okay, and I know you're not, and you're going to get smashed, but that's okay. As long as I don't drink, it's okay. I can just hang out and buddy with them. No, I'm going to make a distinction between us. I'm not going out and hang out with you while you're getting sloshed. So the same thing here. If someone's going to break God's rules, you're going to make a distinction, and you're going to make a separation. You're going to withdraw from them. That's what they did with eating clean and unclean animals. Verse 29, these also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise, ferret, chameleon, lizards, snails, all those things. they're unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doth touch them when they be dead, even they shall be unclean until the even. All right, let's see. Let's go on to verse 34. Of all the meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that shall be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. So this is the water. So if someone's preparing something and there's water involved that was used with an unclean animal, and that's mixing with the clean, you're not going to partake of that. You're going to consider that, no, that water's polluted. You just boiled eel in that. I'm not going to let you go cook my fish in it now. We're going to throw it away. I'm keeping, this is serious to me. What God said I can eat, that's the only things I'm eating. All right. And that goes on to talk about the water through verse 38. 39, if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the even. So clean animals, if it's something that God said you could eat, but you just found it dead lying on the road, you can't eat it. That's not the way God said you could eat. Dead animals were, or what do you call that? I don't know. I call it gross, but dead animals you can't eat. You have to kill the animal yourself, and this is God is showing His wisdom too, and instructing the people. It wouldn't be a healthy thing to eat dead animals that you just find might have died of a disease, might have been sitting there a long time. You don't know what's going on with it, so God's keeping them away from it. All right, let's go on to 44. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves. You set yourselves apart. You're going to keep these laws, these rules. And ye shall be holy, for I am holy. And neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. He's saying, I own you, and here's my rules. You should follow me. You need to follow me. This is how to be holy before me. You need to do that. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. And this is the law of the beasts and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten.
Okay, from there, chapter 12, we go into the specifics of purification for a woman who has had a child. Verse 2, if she's had a male child, she's unclean 7 days and has to be separated for 7 days. On the 8th day, the child would be circumcised. But then she has to continue 33 more days until her purification is fulfilled. So that's a long time. Verse 5, if she has a female child, she's unclean 2 weeks plus another 66 days. So even longer, you have to be separated. Even longer, you can't do anything that pertains to anything holy. Verse 6, when the days of her purification are fulfilled for a son or a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest who shall offer it before the Lord, and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law for her that hath borne a male or a female. If she can't bring a lamb, she should bring 2 turtle doves or young pigeons, one for a burnt offering, the other for a sin offering. The priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean. And I just want to look at Luke 2:22. If you want to hop ahead or if you want to listen. This should be very familiar to us, this law, because we've read it so many times with Mary and Joseph. If we look at verse 21, 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child. His name was called Jesus. 22, when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. So we just read what that law was. 24, and to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. So I like when we can see the New Testament writings and understand where they came from the Old Testament, and to just see how significant it is that this was happening. What happened when Mary and Joseph came to the temple? God providentially had 2 people there waiting for them. One of them, Simeon, said, "Behold, my eyes have seen salvation." And then Anna the prophetess, who also spoke over Jesus, acknowledging that he was the Messiah. So all that happened on the day prescribed for Mary to have gone to the temple with her sacrifice. So just basic laws on purification in childbirth.
All right. Chapter 13, laws regarding leprosy.
I gotta say something.
Okay.
These are just exciting. If you thought the book of Leviticus couldn't get more exciting, you'll learn more about leprosy than you ever knew existed. So it's just amazing how specific God got on how this should all work.
Apparently a very serious issue for them, and God was very specific in how to deal with it. And we won't read through this entire chapter. There's going to be a number of tests for leprosy. There's going to be a number of remedies, and we'll read a little bit of it. Let's start with the beginning. 13, verse 1, the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, and unto one of his sons the priests, or unto one of them, who are going to administer the test and determine. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of his flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look upon him and pronounce him unclean. But if the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut him up that hath the plague 7 days. And they're going to look at him again. The priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at stay, it hasn't progressed any further, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 more days, and the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. All right. It goes on that way for a while, and talks about different areas in the body where you might have a blemish in the skin, and how to determine whether it's leprosy or not, and what to do, what should happen with the people. There's going to be a separation of the people. They have to live outside of the common people. Let's look at verse 38. Jump way up there. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. So freckles were okay. They knew how to distinguish between that. And here's a really good one. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, he is clean. And as you get older, guys, this is a comforting thing to know that if your hair falls off, you're still okay. You're still considered clean. And he that has his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he has forehead bald, yet he is clean. Verse 47 talks about how to basically disinfect garments. And this would be important because, unlike us, their society, it was, your clothes were important to you. You didn't probably have very many. It took a long time to make or a lot of money to purchase. So if someone was sick, they were interested in how do we preserve this garment? How do we, if someone were sick and died, how do I, can we use this again? And what does it take to reuse it? Because these are very valuable. Yes.
Also with leprosy, certain stages of it are contagious. So when we see the laws for separating someone who may have leprosy, it wasn't just a matter of, I touched a dead animal, I'm unclean till even. It could be that if you have leprosy, you might be contagious. So that was also part of the reason for the separation. That's why the cleansing of the garment would be so important. You wouldn't want to die of leprosy and spread it to your family because they used your same blanket.
Yep, and God knew about that, and God told him how to deal with that. Verse 47, the garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be woolen garment or linen garment, this is how you deal with it, how you make sure that it's okay. You're going to wash it, you're going to test it, you're going to see if there's any evidence that there's a problem in the garment itself. I'm not sure I need to read that. That's basically what the rest of the chapter says. And at the end, verse 57, it sums it up. This is the law of the plague of garments, leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in the warp, the woof, or anything of skins, which is parts of the garment. I think whether in the fabric or in, I don't know, do you know those things?
Yeah, the warp and the woof, like if you had a frame that was your loom, the warp would be, let me make sure I get this right, the warp would be the main strands that are fixed to the loom, and the woof would be the ones that you're weaving back and forth with your shuttle. So it even got as specific as the way that your threads were going. That was the warp and the woof. If it were in the like in the actual threads of the fabric. Mm-hmm. So
if you could see something in there. Mm-hmm. And this was the law, how to deal with that, how to disinfect, how to pronounce a garment clean that can be reused.
Okay, chapter 14 continues with a little of this. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. So whereas before, Brian was talking about from chapter 13 the testing of leprosy to see if they actually had it. Now this is the law of cleansing if you did have it. So verse 2, this is the law, he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper. And I'm going to read Matthew 8, 2 through 4, because we see another reference back to this. In Matthew 8, 2, we'll start at 1. When Jesus was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper, and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou can make me clean. So the leper knew the terminology. He knew he needed to be made clean. And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will. Be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. So in the time of Christ, it is still really the time of the Old Testament. They were still living under the same laws of Moses, they called them. So back to Leviticus 14, verse 4, the leper's gone to the priest. Then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds, alive and clean, and cedar wood and scarlet and hyssop. And the priest shall command that, one of the birds is going to be killed, and both that bird and the live bird will be sprinkled with the blood, and then the live bird is set free to fly away. So I believe this is also symbolic of what we're going to see with the scapegoat, where 2 goats are taken. One is killed for the sins of the people, and the other is left to run away in the wilderness. And that's coming up in a few chapters. So this is the process of purification, or the cleansing of the leper. Verse 7, the blood is also sprinkled on the man or the woman, and they have to shave off their hair, cleanse themselves in water, and then to stay outside of their tent 7 days. Verse 9, on the 7th day they shave off their hair, their beard, their eyebrows. Hopefully it's a man if it's talking about a beard. All of his hair shall he shave off, wash his clothes, wash his flesh, and he shall be clean. So 7 days of purification. On the 8th day he takes 2 lambs without blemish. He takes 3/10 deals of fine flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest that makes him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean at the door. Verse 12, the priest shall take 1 lamb for a trespass offering. 13, he shall slay the lamb in the place where he shall kill the sin offering and the burnt offering in the holy place. For as the sin offering is the priest, so is the trespass offering. It is most holy. And here we see this same ritual. The priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And then he's going to anoint him with oil. So we see he's going to be fully cleansed, fully consecrated, as far as being set free from that which was plaguing his body. Verse 19, the priest shall offer the sin offering and make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. And afterwards he shall kill the burnt offering. The priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meat offering, and he shall be clean. We see that if he is poor and he can't bring that much of an offering, that he can bring less. He can bring birds, whatever he's able to bring on the 8th day. Let's see. Verse 33, still referring to leprosy, but now instead of leprosy in the camp, he's going to think forward and say, when you come into the promised land, you're going to be moving into camps and cities that are already inhabited by other people. What if you find leprosy in one of those homes, in one of those cities? How should you deal with it? So verse 34, when you come into the land of Canaan, which I give you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, he that owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seems to me there is, as it were, a plague in the house. So this is what they do. The priest commands that they empty the house. They look around to see if there's, verse 37, they look for hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, or different things growing in the walls. They shut up the house 7 days, and they come back and look, and they see, is it growing? Is it spread? Is it less? You know, they're kind of monitoring it to see. 39, if they come after 7 days and it's spread, then they have to take away all the stones, take them out of the city into an unclean place. They scrape the house. They literally scrape all the infection off the walls of the house and take that outside of the city.